So how are you liking MCM?
We're loving it.
This is so much fun. I'm loving this convention, the venue, the people. It's just all really positive vibes.
Yeah, we also have a lot of our core Twitch communities based in the UK, based off the times we stream. And so we're able to meet a lot of people that we've known for 15 months online. And now we're getting to meet like the moving version of their profile picture, the breeds and stuff. It's fantastic.
Okay, so how long did it actually take to create Detroit Become Human? Because obviously both of you were in it, and I know you spent a lot of time on it. How many endings are there anyway?
I don't actually know how many endings there are. I've heard someone say 40 distinctly different endings.
Yeah.
Of course, many permeations on the way there. I worked on the game for 2.5 years between the beginning filming and this final piece, but I would go in waves. So they'd send me, here's the packet of information to work on for these months, and then we'd go and film for a week or 2 weeks, like everything with Clancy at once, and then come back and then return.
Very dense filming.
Yeah.
Very different from working on a film and TV set where you're taking more time because there's more moving pieces. On a motion capture set, it's just bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And would you say it's possible to create a second game or a spin-off of some sort, especially considering how some of the endings played out?
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too.
I think what's really cool about the game is that it's inspired a lot of people to write their own ideas of what happens in the world afterwards or beforehand. So reading people's fan fiction or seeing their artwork that represents like their version of the playthrough is a very different thing. And fan art from different countries looks, it's the exact same story happened in the game, but someone can play the game and have a very, very different Connor, very different version of the story.
Yeah.
So, what is it that drew you to such a huge and complicated project?
Well, I really wanted to do performance capture as a thing. I'm really inspired by Andy Serkis and other actors that are especially proficient in performance capture. Performance capture itself is constantly changing what technology is involved. So I was daydreaming about best case scenario, what would I do? And it was, ultimately in performance capture, you don't have to play a character that looks exactly like you do in film and television a lot of times. Of course, then they made Connor look exactly like me, which kind of defeated the entire purpose. But I really, that kind of work it's really freeing for an actor.
There's also something really cool about playing a character in a game because the player has so much more agency over the story and they have so much more involvement because they're actively choosing what the characters are going to do, as opposed to when you're watching a movie and the character's doing something and you're like, no, don't do that. So I think working in games is really exciting because there's so much more connection with the audience.
And there's a lot more celebrities, sort of kind of typical Hollywood, like Keanu Reeves and things like that, taking on roles right now. Do you think that's going to kind of change the way the video game industry is sort of looked at in a way? Is it becoming a bit more mainstream? What's your opinion?
I think that as the performance capture technologies improve, so that a lot of characters are looking a lot more like the actor that plays them, and the likeness thing comes into it, like in Keanu's case for Cyberpunk. I think that the opportunity to continue your filmography into a video game, but you're still representing your brand and your character. I mean, Keanu looks like Keanu in that game, I think might be more appealing. I think the video game industry has also realized that having actors be a part of the promotion of the game and the experience of the game afterwards for the fans is a major asset. So I think maybe 5 years ago it was a little bit more like, oh, we'll get this guy to voice this thing and then fire him and get a different guy to voice this thing. But the fans are very connected to who plays these things, who plays the voice. And so I think that over the next couple of years, as the technology becomes more and more accessible, I think indie games are going to be able to do full performance capture in the way that Quantic Dream has been developing for 22 years. I think that this technology is getting more and more accessible. So I think, yes, more famous celebrity movie Hollywood type might find themselves into games, but I also think that it's going to be something that students that can do their thesis game or something and be doing just as high level quality stuff, which is going to be really cool.
More accessible all around.
Are you guys thinking of working on any other projects soon? Like, because you're doing Twitch at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah.
So have you got anything else in mind? Like,
Sure. You want to tell them about the 2 games, and I'll tell them about...
Yes, we have a lot of exciting things in the works. We are working on 2 other video games. One is called Lunafawn, Tales from the Moonoak, and it's a hand-painted 2D animation game set based on Welsh mythology. And Jacksepticeye is going to be voicing one of the characters.
You two, of course, got a great relationship with him.
And Roger Clark, who plays Arthur Morgan in Red Dead Redemption, he's also voicing one of the characters. And another game called Evolutus, which is a cyberpunk anime. So 2 very different ones, and then there's a 3rd one in the works, which we can't talk about. But
we really want to.
We really want to.
And on our Twitch stream, we're working for August 11th. We're going to do the launch of our campaign. It's a D&D campaign called The Golden Spiral. So we'll be inviting a lot of our voice actor friends I mentioned earlier today, and I guess this will be the official announcement. You guys can know. Anjali, who plays Symmetra, and Carolina Ravassa, who plays Sombra in Overwatch, are going to be 2 of our campaign adventurers. And it's going to be an interactive campaign so that our viewing audience can also play the games with us in a passive way. If they just want to watch, they can watch like you watch Critical Role. Or there will also be ways for them to poll and input collectively based off their elemental. So fire, air, water, and earth will be separated into chats and be able to help the different adventurers based off a mana pool for their element. All the way to the deepest level of involvement, which is if people want to run their own campaign in the same story world, then the results of their campaign will be fed into our story. And we're going to try to push the element of where people have gone with D&D specifically and streaming at the same time.
Yeah.
On Twitch, live. See what happens.
And if you guys could implement yourselves into any other video game, what video game would you pick?
Oh, I loved Life is Strange.
Yeah.
I had such a strong emotional journey playing that game, and I would love to get to be a part of one of those games. So somewhere in there.
Yeah, I'd like to be on a Star Wars video game. If you could let them know.
Yeah.
I'll be a Sith, I'll be a Jedi, whatever. I mean, I absolutely love Star Wars. So for me, the dream role is like even a stormtrooper that gets blown away, like whatever. Something.
Anything Star Wars.
All right.
Yeah.
You never know. They might be working on something.
They're always working on something. And when they announced that they were going to do the most recent trilogy of movies, and there were some people being like, "No, like leave it alone. It's perfect as it was. You're going to break it." I'm like, "No, make more. Like just constantly, like every single movie you make is another shot." So definitely, I'm about it.
To sort of piggyback off that question, rather than video games, if you could be in any TV show, what would it be?
Ooh.
And you can't say The Mandalorian, because I know that's what you're about to go for.
And they're doing so much performance capture. We've been watching Versailles.
Yes.
You guys are familiar? Canal Plus. It just finished, of course, but if they did a 4th season of Versailles, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Some period piece.
I love history and historical fiction, so any period piece would be just a dream. And then also Glow. I love that show. It's so
That was
much
a
fun.
period piece.
Exactly. 80s. I would, anything that's not set in this time.
Nice.
Yeah.
With the performance capture work, is there any point where you're in the middle of doing something and you're just sort of thinking, what am I doing? Why this is so weird?
Yes. It is very unusual working on performance capture because unlike film or TV, you don't have a set in the traditional way. You don't have costumes in the traditional way. It's all about your imagination and infusing the space with your imagination. And so sometimes you're in situations where you're just like, what am I doing? Like there was this one scene where my character had to be talking to the head of my other character. And I did the entire scene with Bryan holding a basketball with this little bit of tape. And I did this love scene with a basketball. And I was like, I hope this turns out well because I have no idea how this is going. But yeah, definitely unusual.
Yeah.
And if you guys have like a favorite scene that you filmed, like what would that be?
Oh man. I mean, working with Amelia on the Traci stuff was awesome.
Yeah.
It was really cool to be there together because sometimes with the technology they can film the pieces separately. So I wasn't always filming with the other actor, but pretty much everything I filmed with Clancy Brown for Hank was a lot of fun. I mean, he's a very playful guy, and also I think Connor learns how to deviate from seeing Clancy be like the ultimate deviant.
Yeah.
He just like says no to authority and does whatever he wants to do. And so for me, I came to set very specific and rehearsed and wanted to make sure I was hitting up very Connor, all these very specific ideas. And then I was working with Clancy, who was just kind of like, let's try one. Let's just do one. So that working with him helped me learn to be less precious about it and a little bit more spontaneous and just make decisions as you go.
Yeah. What would you say, Amelia?
What was the question?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, I got distracted.
Best scene filming?
Oh, best scene. So I definitely am drawn more towards the dramatic and darker stuff. And so I would say that weirdly, my favorite bit to film was the version if you shoot the Traci. And
That's so dark.
I know, but there was just so much to play with there.
Yeah.
Like there was just a huge pool of influence just bubbling up. So that was my strangely favorite thing to shoot because there was just so much to work with. I know, I'm weird.
Oh, God. So dark.
How much have you actually been through and played the game yourself?
I'm sorry.
How much have you been through and played the game yourself?
Oh, we've played through it. I
Yeah,
think.
we got platinum.
Yeah, we played through it 4 times
Yeah, we
on
did.
Twitch, I think, or maybe 5.
We did 4 full playthroughs. We did our blind playthrough, which I called Blue Connor. Red Connor was Machine Connor, making all the non-empathetic choices. Green Connor is super empathetic. And then we did the I'll Be Back trophy where you kill Connor every
Which
possible
is
way.
also, yeah.
And then we had to do a couple little bits and pieces, to find the magazines or to do all, to unlock all the final trophies.
But there's still pieces we haven't.
Yeah, we have. I don't think we
You're
have,
still
we have
finding
like
stuff.
91% or something on the game. When it comes out on PC, maybe we'll stream again.
We'll get to 100.
Get all the final bits.
A little bit.
I feel like I'm poking you with a stick, but could you just please say that you're the android sent from Cyberlife?
Sure. My name is Connor. I'm the android sent by Cyber. Stop poking me with that stick. It's better than 28 stab wounds, A lot of times we want that. Yeah.
Sorry.
That was good.
Are there any of the endings that you consider canon? Are you like, yeah, that's how my character finished the game?
Oh man. I would. For me, Connor deviating and his relationship with Hank being strong enough that they meet up again at the end. The two
And hug.
And hug.
Yeah,
That's my canon ending.
me too.
Yeah. Good question, though. The RK900 ending was a big surprise to me even on set because it wasn't written as a separate character. It was just Connor is this. So I knew, as I was reading through it, but I had no idea until I saw a screenshot. Actually, it was spoiled for me online because the internet's like that. But that there was this whole other thing, and they just basically said, like, you're in this moment. We shot it for like 2 takes. I mean, all I'm doing is standing there. But he's like, oh, you're the new and improved RK900. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. So I just made him a little taller and a little more still. And now there's entire fan fiction universes dedicated to what's going on. And I'm like, you guys know more about RK900 than I do.
Is there a particular scene which you were kind of shooting and then it came to you actually being in the video game, like you just mentioned, where you've been really surprised of how different it's ended up being from what you thought you were doing?
For me, it was the piece with, it's called The Nest, where you're trying to find Rupert. And so you're in the house, you're looking around, the birds are everywhere, you're finding clues, you're trying to find what the deviant is. And then in the way that we filmed it, I of course did all the scene work, but not the parkour. So I went from pretty much running, finding him. We filmed that as he breaks away. And then the next piece that we filmed was up on the rooftop catching up when Hank, runs up behind and we've apprehended him. But when I got to play through it, and then play with the music, and like all of a sudden now they've got this like expert parkour master running around in my body, you know, like jumping on top of a train and climbing up and breaking through the windows and stuff. Like that was. Anyway, you know it. You can add in the sound later. But yeah, that was really cool. That was a happy surprise for sure.
I think the biggest surprise for me was that I didn't know what my characters were going to look like. I didn't know if they're going to look like me or not, and so that was a really happy surprise when I saw them. I'm like, that's me, but not. But
well,
me.
and there's a couple other Tracis that don't look anything like Amelia, but it's her voice. So we recorded all of that, and then a lot of it's different between performance capture and on set for a film and TV show. You know a lot of those things. You know what your wardrobe's going to look like. I never knew what Connor's attire was like until I saw the E3 demo of the hostage. So like we're just assuming like, oh, they'll fix it later. We had seen concept art and you get an idea of what the world looks like, but they can change the camera position, they can change your wardrobe, they can change your hairstyle, like way after the fact.
The Eden Club was much grittier when in the concept art. So it just seemed much more upscale when in the final version.
Yeah, well, no, that's not so shady. Not so shady. The first one you're like, I don't want to go in there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. 15 minutes.